Google PPC, AdWords, and search engine marketing in general. Okay, we're going to use an analogy to explain this next concept to you. All of us at some point in our childhood left the lights on, right? Maybe the outside floodlights over the basketball hoop or the lights inside the garage. But for sure, at some point, we forgot to turn the lights off. Of course, our parents turned leaving the lights on into the sole reason they didn't have enough money and could never retire. So we got yelled at for leaving the lights on. You may be wondering what lights have to do with Google PPC ads and search engine marketing in general. We promise you will understand it more if we explain things this way. So here we go. Imagine you are a parent. Now imagine that in your home is a very long wall. When we say long, we mean a very long wall, as long as a football field. 100 yards of wall. Okay, on that wall are light switches. The light switches are 1 inch apart. The light switches are right next to each other and span the entire length of the wall. On the light switches themselves is an indicator. When the switch is in the up or on position, the switch illuminates to indicate the switch is on and there is power running something. When the switch is off, the illumination disappears. The switch goes off or dark. There you are. You are the parent. You have a long wall. On that wall are all these light switches. You pay for what those switches turn on. Oh no, all the switches are on. Oh my, what do you do? Can you imagine a wall with thousands of light switches all turned on simultaneously? Can you imagine paying for all of the potential waste? Can you? Don't you just want to run down the wall, turning those light switches off? Do you have an image in your mind of your electric meter spinning so fast it begins to smoke and glow a faint orange color? From a dental practice marketing standpoint, I'm describing how most dentists or the people they pay are managing, or not, their Google AdWords campaigns. Most of you don't even know it. You cannot see the wall. You cannot see the light switches. You don't know the switches are all turned on, and you don't know your money is being wasted. Let's convert the analogy into reality with some definitions. Here's the first one, the wall. The wall is your Google AdWords campaign as a whole. Second definition is each light switch. That is a single keyword or phrase you are spending money on to hopefully capture someone near you who is using Google to search for dental services. Here's another definition, the illumination of the light switch. That's at least one consumer has used the keyword or phrase, and your money is flowing through that individual switch. The illumination should draw your attention to what that switch is powering so you can determine if you want to leave it on or not. Another definition, your smoking faint orange glowing electric meter. That is volumes of your money which are being consumed to fund your Google AdWords account. Now, we get slightly technical, yet hopefully still understandable, to provide further explanation on why this really matters. When you start a Google AdWords campaign, you should have a pretty good-sized list of keywords and phrases consumers use to search for the dental services you are attempting to promote. Some of you would be amazed at the size of those lists. An amateur and lazy professionals would just bid on the most obvious popular keywords or phrases like dentist my town. Limiting your list to only the most popular is a surefire way to overbid and drive up the cost and over time drive down the end result. This is what most dentists do who manage their own AdWords campaigns. This is a mistake. Let's go back to our wall analogy. Think of this mistake as just a few light switches that have so much of your money flowing through them, they are melting because of the competitive costs of the ads. This is not a good long-term strategy. These dentists will say, I tried AdWords, they didn't work for me. Or they worked for a little while and then nothing. These comments make perfect logical sense. Google AdWords is a bidding platform. You are bidding on being exposed to people who have a known or perceived need for dental services. Of course, if 10 dentists all bid on the same list of 16 most obvious keywords and phrases, the bid costs go up. As the bid costs go up, fewer clicks, fewer patients, fewer results. It all makes perfect logical sense. But let's say a professional is managing the AdWord campaign and has 2,000 keywords or phrases to start. Each of the 2,000 words or phrases is represented by the 2,000 light switches on your very long wall. As consumers search on Google and click on your ad, Google collects your money and the switch illuminates. Remember, your money spent on an active word or phrase illuminates the light switch. Over the first 30 to 60 days, let's say 1,500 of the 2,000 light switches were turned on by local consumers using different words, phrases, and variations of words and phrases. The remaining 500 light switches were never turned on by any consumer searches. The switches that are off are duds for now, but we will come back to them later. You can ignore them now. They aren't costing you anything. Now you have a wall of 1,500 illuminated light switches. All of them are still consuming your money right now as we speak. In our analogy, if you left the light switch on at home, your parents would look to see if the switch was powering something necessary or unnecessary before yelling at you for leaving the light switch on. They would yell if the switch was powering a light outside that nobody was using. This makes sense. Your parents would not yell, as an example, if the switch was powering the receptacle behind the refrigerator or something else very beneficial. In this case, the opposite might happen. They may even tape the switch in the on position and tell you to never touch it. Which switches on your Google campaign wall are powering something beneficial to you? Which switch turned into a new patient phone call? Which one turned into a good new patient phone call? Which switch turned into an actual new patient? Which one is bringing the patients who return the highest revenues? Better yet, ask yourself the following questions, because the following questions will waste the most of your money in the long run. Which switches end up not generating any phone calls? Are you just paying for useless mouse clicks? Which switches are getting phone calls but getting the wrong type of patients? In short, which ones are wasting you a ton of money? Good questions, right? Are you scrambling to log on to your Google AdWords account right now? That's good. If all we accomplished with this section of the update is to get you to pay more attention to your self-managed AdWord campaign, well, we helped save dentistry millions in needless waste. If you don't have an AdWord account, let's agree if you ever do, it makes sense to pay attention to the illuminated light switches. It makes sense to see if they are generating anything beneficial. It makes sense to determine if we should leave them illuminated or turn them off by looking at what they are bringing us. Now, let's go to the next level. What if I told you there was a lot more? Here is how you properly manage a beneficial long-term Google AdWord campaign for a dental practice. This is the purposely short version. You begin with 2,000 light switches. You fund your campaign and give it time. 60 to 90 days is good. Give it time to mature to the point that you can see the illuminated switches and the switches that are still dark, not yet turned on. You look to see what each illuminated light switch is powering. You analyze. You determine whether the light switch is having a positive or negative impact, whether it is generating new patient appointments or it's not. You turn off the switches that are not generating new patient appointments. These switches are locked in the off position. You reallocate more budget to the switches you know are generating new patients, as well as the switches that have yet to be illuminated for the first time. Remember the dark switches? Leave them there. They aren't costing you any money. Let's see if they eventually illuminate. In time, they usually do. There could be a couple sleeper words and phrases in there that will eventually produce good new patients. The cool thing about the dark switches is they are cheap. There is a very good chance no other dentist is bidding on them but you. These are usually really obscure phrases you wouldn't even think of, like mouth hurts, Phoenix, Arizona. Your local buddies are busy bidding on a dozen keywords and phrases that 20 other dentists in the same market are bidding on, which does nothing but divide market share and drive up cost for all involved. Meanwhile, you, the smart one, are focused on the popular and the not so popular. Knowing a lot of value, cost versus return, is in those not so popular phrases everyone else ignores. You are different. You are prepared. You look down your wall of switches every day, sometimes twice per day. Why? Because even if you looked 5 hours ago, there are illuminated switches that are wasting your money right now. Consumers are searching using the keywords and phrases assigned to the switch, but those people are not becoming patients. 10 of those may have happened in the last hour. Leaving them on is wasted money that could be allocated to a good switch. How long would you like to wait? After you've wasted $100, $500, $2,500? The point is, the longer you wait to disconnect a bad source of clicks, the more money you waste. Which brings us to this. What if I told you artificial intelligence should be managing your light switches? You've heard of AI, artificial intelligence. Here's what it is. It is math plus comparative analysis plus comparative analysis plus comparative analysis. Can software and computers determine a productive switch from an unproductive switch faster than a human can? Oh, of course. Your campaign manager still has to be there, but instead of spending their time analyzing, they are spending their time taking corrective actions. The corrective action is dictated by the results of the analysis. So you still need both. But the artificial intelligence makes the human campaign manager exponentially more productive and beneficial to your practice. Here's another advantage of AI. It can analyze at 7 a.m., midnight, on a Sunday, on Christmas Day, at any moment in time. A piece of software works 24/7, 365. A campaign manager works about 8 hours a day. Without AI, your campaign manager is limited. Because of the limitation, waste is needlessly higher. What else can an AI platform do? Well, here's a fairly common example. Artificial intelligence can tell the human campaign manager that Dr. Smith's Invisalign campaign in Chicago is performing 15% below Dr. Jordan's Invisalign campaign in Atlanta, even though the market, ad budget, and keyword and phrase list is about 80% similar. The AI platform will suggest we change Dr. Smith's Invisalign campaign landing pages and make it the same as Dr. Jordan's and run that new landing page for a minimum of 60 days. An AI platform can tell you how many responders are utilizing Local Med Connect to make their first appointment from your landing page instead of calling the office. Better result transparency, better outcome, less waste, greater return. Now, what if I told you it gets even better? If this all sounds daunting, it's not. All of this happens in the background. What you see as the dentist is full transparency of exactly how your campaign is going, all in real time. Whenever you want, it's online. It's a bookmark in your browser. You get to see the calls generated, the rating of those calls, a recording of the calls themselves, the source of the calls, whether they turned into a patient, the running primary production value from each patient, how many patients scheduled through the online scheduling platform, and a whole lot more. Why is this level of transparency so important? Well, because traditionally, dentists get data points like cost per click and cost per call, which, if you think about it, doesn't really tell you very much. What if the cost per click was astronomically high, like $230? Most managers would turn that source off. But what if those clicks are generating patients who are spending $20,000 each in the practice? If cost per call is analyzed and judged on its own without knowing the true outcome, could that be damaging? Yes. What if the cost per call was extremely low, like $8? But we found out that you received 30 such calls, and all of them were people looking for the dentist down the street. Yes, people are lazy and click sponsored ads just to get phone numbers. Most people managing AdWords campaigns would leave that switch on. Doing so will cost the dentist countless dollars. If you manage your own Google AdWords account, you know how vitally important the end result data would be to you. If you manage your own campaign and don't know this, boy, are you wasting ad dollars. If someone is managing your campaign and not wanting this information, ask yourself why. If you pay someone to manage your Google AdWords account and you do not know the value of their work on a continual basis, there is more than a 50-50 chance they are just skating along, collecting their percentage, and leaving your lights on. If they are leaving your lights on, you are unknowingly burning dollars. If you cannot see it, you will not know it. And normally, you will continue to have them manage your campaign. Transparency is how you know everything is going. You should be able to see everything tangible that's going on. AdWords campaigns can be volatile in their results, especially toward the beginning. Transparency helps you clean up any items on your end that need attention. You may not like us saying this, but more than a handful of practices are never going to be successful with any of their marketing ever, simply because there are problems on the practice's end. You may be missing phone calls. Your team may not be calling the missed calls back to see if they can salvage the caller as a new patient. Your team may need call management training help. Come on, let's face it, you may have the wrong employee. The question is, when do you want to know? Do you want to know when you are $3,000 into an ad campaign? Anyone want to wait until you are $30,000 into a campaign? Nobody wants to wait. You want to fix these issues, if there are any, up front, as quickly as you can. Transparency helps the owner of the practice measure the results being generated by their campaign. Transparency is always a good thing. In the end, effective Google AdWords campaign managers are really about two main things. Number one, how quickly budget can be rerouted from non-productive sources of clicks to sources that are generating real, live, new patients who end up spending money in the practice. And number two, the ability for the owner to A, see if they are unknowingly wasting money once the new patient calls the office, and B, see the value and ROI of their AdWords dollars in real time. This is the recipe to win at Google AdWords. You will win in markets where there are 2, 5, 10, or more other dentists all bidding on the same keywords and phrases. You can win in markets where some of those other dentists have higher budgets than you. They will be wasting the majority of their budget. You will not be wasting the majority of your budget. Remember, PPC, whether Facebook or Google, is still a very passive marketing media type. You are waiting for people to have a real or perceived need for dental services. You are not introducing new information, and many of them can be shoppers. If you go into Google with your expectation eyes wide open, it can prove to be a beneficial advertising medium. Let's just be realistic about it.